What is up, all forms of social media? James Joseph Edward Jesberger Jr., but please call me Jimmy for short. Today we're tuning into something that I've been waiting to do, and it's been something that I've been on a journey for a long time. If you did not know, for basically my entire life up until about a year and a half ago, almost, wow, it'll be 2 years again, but I think it's a year and a half at this point. But May 6th, 2020, I decided at 237 pounds, which was not my heaviest ever weight, but I decided at 237 that enough was enough, and as a 5'7" male, I needed to lose the weight and get to my goal weight and to be truly happy and to be myself. So over the year from May 6th, 2020 to May 6th, 2021, and even past that, and I'm still on it technically, quote unquote, now. You're never off your journey, but I went on a weight loss journey, and I officially lost 87 pounds over a year and a few months. And then I had decided my first goal was technically to get down to 180. I surpassed that so much better and so much more than I thought. I'm currently about sitting around 143. I mean, sorry, not 143. Wow. I'm currently sitting around 153, 152. The lowest weigh-in I've gotten to in the morning is 150, so I have lost 87 pounds. I'm just happily sitting where I'm at right now. And I have gotten as low as 145, 146 after a run. So it's been interesting. It's been cool, kind of science, to see all the stuff behind it. I wanted to give a little story first, and then we'll go straight into what this video is about. It is my DEXA scan. So going on to this weight loss journey, I had no idea how much loose skin I would have. I had no idea how much muscle mass I had on me, and the biggest thing for me was around my lowest weigh-in. I was gonna wait technically until I was 148 to get a DEXA scan, but I was like, you know what, enough's enough. I feel like I've been working out my ass off, and I was only eating right, not only, but I was eating right and I was running every day. So that was the only two things I really made sure. And I was trying to be happier with my life. But I knew at some point I needed to get a DEXA scan done because I wanted to make sure how much loose skin versus lean mass versus my fat intake was, and just kind of build my body from there, because my main goal was I wanted to try and eat as clean as possible on a caloric deficit and run as my workouts. And then after I got to a certain point that I felt lean enough to do everything that I wanted to do, which I was, my second goal after 180 was to be 150-ish or 140s. And then I was saying I want to be 10 to 12% body fat. So I scheduled myself finally for a DEXA scan. The date of the exam was July 23rd. So it was a week and 2 days ago. Today is August 1st. I'm recording it. But 7/23/2021, I had decided to schedule myself for that date at 12 p.m. Well, 12/29 p.m. It was an 8-minute exam DEXA scan. And I'm super happy. It was a great experience. And let's now get into my official DEXA scan. Now, let me preface with, I am not a medical professional. I am not a huge science person. This is a person who really loves fitness, who knows a good amount about fitness and their fitness journey, and them personally explaining what I was kind of told through all this and how I feel with my results and what I believe my results are and such like that. I have a pretty good understanding of this stuff now, but I could always learn and get better with it. So I'm going to go through two things today. I'm going to go through my actual DEXA scan papers. That's the actual papers that DEXA Fit gives you. Then there's a website through this company that I have. I went through Fitness City, where they actually give me percentages of all this different stuff to give you more of a survey of your body and how much weight you've lost and such and blah, 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 and all that types of things. So let's get straight into it. You guys can now see my screen, thankfully, through the power of the internet and through the power of technology. Yes, my name is James Jesberger. Age at the time was 27.6. Birth date is 11/21/1993. So just to put this out there, I am a 27-year-old male. Yeah, because of the date. And then height, I'm 67 inches, which I told them I was 5'7". The last time I was measured at the doctor's, I was like 5'7.5". I don't really care at this point. It just matters for the DEXA scan to put it in. They asked me of that morning what was my weight, like if I knew my weight or what I was around at. And I said that morning that when I woke up and after I was done, when I first woke up, it was 151, but after my run, I was less than that. But I said, like, hey, right before I left, I was 151. So, like, after eating, or I didn't eat yet. Sorry, I didn't eat yet. So I was about 151, and I wanted to make sure I was, like, flat. And I, what's the word? I fasted before I went in there. I didn't want to eat anything. I think I maybe had one water bottle before I left just because I ran earlier. But, like, I wanted to make this as like just my body type and just my body as much as possible. Now, to also put into perspective, on Wednesdays and Fridays, which this day was a Friday that I went in, I run 7 miles straight, like no breaks. I run 7 miles and then I showered and then I left. So this is like the leanest my body could have been that day. And then on top of that, I also walked an extra mile because I had time to do it. And that's all the information they really needed for me during the time and the date and like who I am as a person, what I thought. So going down this sheet, they have a DEXA Fit summary, analyst page, and the summary of my total body composition. Now, this is the part that I just genuinely wanted to know. The biggest deal for me was I wanted to know what my total body percentage for fat was, and I wanted to know my lean mass versus like my fat tissue. That's all I really wanted to know. Everything else was a great like, oh my God, like now I get to know this about my arms, about my legs, about my groin, about my back. Like, but this was the biggest thing for me. So on July 23rd, 2021, my total body fat percentage was 13.4%. Now, to just put this into perspective, you start showing abs around 12% body fat. Well, actually, even before that, I would say like 15, low, like high 10s, so like high like 18s, 19s, definitely by 15% to like 13%, you're definitely showing some abs. 12 to about 10%, you're really showing off your abs. That's when your abs really come through. And then anything below 10% is just like advanced, super advanced, like athlete, like almost malnourished in a way, in certain senses. But you can keep your body composition if your muscle mass is heavier and you can, hold on a lot of muscle. But for me, I don't have a lot of muscle on me. I didn't make building muscle my prerogative. It was just as lean as I could get and as healthy as I could get throughout this process. The really funny part is I told myself before this DEXA scan and like before I really like started building muscle, I wanted to get to 10 to 12% body fat, and I'm still 1.4 over my damn goal, which is fine because I know how much now I really need to start lifting weights, because even when I start lifting weights, people are like, oh, you're going to put on size now, you're going to like be so much bigger, and now you're going to like be able to show off your muscles. Even still, I have a little bit of fat is relative, but I have a little bit of fat left on me, so I'm definitely going to be losing the rest of it and gaining muscle composition, hopefully. I really don't plan on putting on any more fat than I have even right now. I want to stay right where I'm at. I've actually been at a good plateau of like 155, like relaxing right now, so that's where I kind of want to stay. So the DEXA scan, it said total mass of that day was 152.3 pounds. So altogether, when I got there, I was laying on the table after like I ran 7 miles, and now I had like I think I had a bottle of water in me, or maybe I didn't drink the water yet. I was 152.3 pounds with 13.4% body fat. So that means at 5'7", 27-year-old male, at 152.3 pounds, I'm 13.4% body fat. So when I went online and I looked up my TDE calculator, at 148 to 143, that would be me at like 10% to like maybe even 6% body fat. That would be me like in a perfect, like, hey, I keep losing and I don't really care about like being as muscular as possible. I would try and be as muscular as possible, but getting into those lower ranges, it gets harder and harder to build as you're leaning out. So then the other biggest thing was, what is my fat tissue? So basically, I found out that I still have, at 152.3 pounds, I have 20.5 pounds of fat on me, which in the long run, I am not like upset with. I am actually very happy. I actually thought it was going to be way higher for some reason. Could I lose 10 more pounds and still be fine? I think it would be perfect if I lost about 10 more pounds. But now I have the luxury of being in my caloric deficit, running every day, and now I can start lifting and start losing weight through lifting and building muscle, because the easiest way to burn fat is to lift weights. I was just fucking stubborn. I know everybody was like, well, Jimmy, why don't you lift weights? You'll do it easier. I didn't want to gain any muscle. I wanted to try and be as lean and as fit as possible before I started gaining muscle mass. So that basically means 126.1 pounds of me was lean tissue mass. So that includes anything from my muscles to my organs to anything that didn't have to do with my fat. And then BMC, apparently, I'm not, remember I said this in the beginning, preface and, warning, I'm not a medical professional. I believe that means my bone composition. So I have 5.7 pounds of bones in me, which makes sense. Visceral fat was another thing I did not expect to be this way. And I'll get down to it in a second, what it means. But she was saying at the place that, like, that's a very, very, very good number to be at. And I was very proud of that. So, first of all, let me just say, overall, this was like, I was ready, like, that day. I'm going to get into it more afterwards. But, like, I was driving home crying, like, because I knew I did so well. I finally made it. Everything just like was a wash of everything. I finally felt like I did something right. I finally did this journey right after all these years of trying to not be a fat piece of shit and all this stuff. Just being hard on yourself. I finally made it, and I finally was truly happy and confident with who I was. And I did something so great and changed my body, Truly the truest form of body positivity I ever experienced. Lean mass balance. Apparently in my arms, so this is where it gets into the like nitty gritty stuff. It's actually kind of cool. My arms, so my lean mass right arm was about 8 pounds. My lean mass left was 7 pounds, and the difference was about a pound of difference between my left and my right arm. So that means that my right arm has 8 pounds and my left arm has 7 pounds of lean mass. My legs, my right leg was 20.3 pounds and my left was 21.7, and I had a 1.4 pound difference. And total, I have between my right limbs and my left limbs, my right limbs are 61.3 pounds. My left mass is 64.8, which means I didn't even know this. My left side's technically bigger than my right side. And I felt like my left leg was a little bit bigger sometimes, but like, and by the way, I'm right-handed. I thought my left leg was going to be smaller, but like my right arm and my left leg are the biggest, and then the opposites are the opposing, which I think is kind of funny. Also, my base foot is my right foot, so I thought my right foot would be bigger. Maybe I leaned it out because of like the weight loss, but I guess we'll find out. And then it gets into the nitty-gritty of things again. Like if you look at my arms, it splits it up into 3 or 4 different sections. You have the regions of like, what's my body fat percentage in my arms? What's the body fat percentage in my legs? What's the body fat percentage in my trunk? So trunk just means from like your waist all the way up to like your collarbone and your neck. And then it goes into like different specific areas for your body. And I'm not going to read out all this. If you want to go in and look at my exact numbers for a 5'7" male at 152 pounds of that day, please feel free. That's why I'm posting this, right? This is where things got crazy. They were telling me about my percentages with my stomach, my hip, and my back. Hey, Future Jimmy here for the video. I had to clear something up. Visceral actually means inner abdominal fat. So like it's the closest part of the fat that gets to your stomach before it's inside of your organs. So anytime I refer to back stuff for visceral or anything visceral, that just means ab fat, like the closest you can get to the stomach. Spoiler alert, it's actually better that this was the case, because it means in the long run I only have 1 pound of visceral fat that's the closest to my inner abdominal layer. So yay, thank you. Sorry about that. Moving on. So this is where stomach, I have 10.2% body fat, and in my hip I have 13.0, which I thought both of them were going to be way bigger because I hold, quote unquote, I thought I held a lot of fat in my stomach and in my sides, but apparently I lost a lot of that, I think. And then the biggest thing was she circled was the visceral fat, which is my back fat. And she said that's where I came in. Most people are at, a pound, or most males are at a pound, and I'm at 0.64 pounds. So I'm like way under where I'm supposed to be in a healthy way. Like, so that just made me think like, all these years, the biggest problem I've always had are my sides, my hips, and my back. And now I'm starting to realize I think I have more loose skin on me than I thought, because if you look at any other, and I could maybe pull up some pictures too, but if you look at any body composition for a male at like 15% body fat to like 13% body fat to like 10% body fat, they look very shredded. They look very, 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 very shredded. And for me, I'm still holding on to like that, like almost like pudgy stuff. So I think I definitely have more loose skin than I thought. I thought with this weight loss journey it would be less, but I'm not complaining about it because I can still build the muscle. And you have to remember, I haven't built the muscle. So once I build the muscle, things are going to poke through. And then in the next couple months to even a year, I want to see how much it changes. This, I'm not going to get too much into it because this is another page that I don't really understand. This goes into my total body bone density chart. It just talks about basically how much bone density do I have versus my overall health. The biggest thing I wanted to show was if you look at the total body bone density, you can look at this body scale, and that's my body literally being scanned on the DEXA scan. Notice where the green and the red are, by the way, because all this time I was like, man, I must have a total, like, still fat on me that's bothering me. And just look at this down here. The color coding, basically at 13.4% body fat, which, is amazing anyway, and it didn't hit me how much of lean mass I really had on my body. Look how green, and I would even say some of my green gets to like here. Like, it's very, very lean. And as we're really going to notice, like, and most people are going to be that way anyway, we can notice the only parts that have real big parts of fat on them are the obvious spots, like the very edges of my hips, the very edges of the inner sides of my legs, and the edges of like different parts of my body parts. So it's not like, I have a huge thing of red in the middle, or I have a huge thing of red in one particular part. It's really just at the edges. And then that makes me think, well, I possibly have more loose skin on me than I thought. The only thing that sucks about these DEXA scans is unless you get somebody to specifically look at every individual thing on your chart and you assess it, they're not going to be able to find out just through this DEXA scan on the paper how much loose skin you have. But I'm judging that I have a tiny bit at least at this point, because also you have to remember I haven't started lifting yet, so we'll see the differences as soon as I start lifting again. Once I start lifting, I'm going to be able to tell as things start to poke out and I start to lose more weight where that loose skin is. And in the long run, I might not even have any loose skin in the long run, but it's not until I get to this point that I can. But I'm just putting out there, most females and males at this body fat percentage, they have abs showing, and I don't really have that. I have a little bit, I have a good like dense wall, but I don't have like a, hey, these are poking out like they should be at this point. And then the last page is basically just saying like, hey, this is how much body fat you have percentage in each one of your limbs or each area. So in my arms, I have 13.3. In my legs, I have 16.2. In my trunk, I have 10.7. In my stomach, I have 10.2. And in my hip, I have 13.0. And then totally altogether, I have 13.4% body fat in my whole body. So again, just putting this out there, total mass is 152.3. My fat mass is 20.5 pounds. And my lean mass is 126.1, which I actually thought was pretty low for a guy of my size. Or like, it was crazy how much I actually thought that I was versus like what I thought I could be essentially. But so that is my DEXA scan just from DEXA Fit and from the company that I worked with. Now I'm going to get into some fun stuff where the percentages tell me like how great my body is in composition versus other statistics. And I was genuinely shocked and I was emotional even after reading some of these. So let's get into the website and you're going to be able to see my Fitness City profile now. So this kind of goes all over the place, so I'm going to have to jump around a little bit. But if you want to and you want to get your DEXA scan done, I highly recommend going to Fitness City. I really enjoyed working with them. I'm not sponsored or anything. I just found their company. It was something in my area that I could do, and it was super easy, and the company that I worked with was super great too. James, here's your DEXA body fat percentage. Nothing new. A lot of the numbers are going to be the same numbers that we just saw in the DEXA scan. It is showing me basically that 13.4% body fat is how much fat intake I have in my body, which includes essential fats, so good fats, and my storage for fat, my energy levels, right? And then it goes into the science behind the numbers. The biggest thing that I was crazed out about was I'm in the 4th percentile of your body fat percentage is in the 4th percentile. This means that close to 96% of men who are similar to you have a higher body fat percentage. That basically means any guy who is supposed to be like around 5'7" and is supposed to be like around my weight, I'm 4th, and I hate to say it this way, but it's kind of true. I'm 4th percentile, quote unquote, more athletically fit or like lower body intake than other males in my category, better than 96% of men. That's when I got like emotional about it. And like it shows how much hard work I put into all this. It's crazy to see that. If you look at the percentage right here, it says 0%, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, and it goes all the way to 100. 4th percentile means that I'm an elite athlete. Like, I'm right at the top of 0%. That means that they consider me an elite athlete. At the workouts that I'm doing, at the eating that I'm doing, they consider me an elite athlete. That's when I got the most emotional. That's when I was like, I felt like I haven't been working hard enough. And this shows me that I've been working my ass off for this. I don't want to get emotional again. And then on top of that, here's another chart of your body fat percentage compared with men in the same age and ethnic group. This just basically says at 20 years old, between 39 years old, I'm in the 5th percentile and lower, which just basically showed before I'm in the 4th percent, over 96% of men that are in my age and ethnic group and such like that, and my weight, which is crazy to say that I'm above. Well, I guess technically below because, you know, I'm down in weight and stuff like that. But when the chart shows it going up, but look how much geared versus the blue. I'm in the blue, and it shows how much difference there is comparatively to where I'm at. Then it goes into, here's your breakdown of fat mass versus lean mass. Fat mass, I have about 20.5 pounds of fat on me, which is the 13.4%. I genuinely think if I got down another 10 pounds, it would be great. And I would be around like 10% body fat, or, you know, I'd be lower than that probably at that point. I'd probably be like 8 to 5%. I don't know if I want to get to 5% body fat. That's a very hard number to keep up with. And then we already knew this, but my lean mass is 126.1 pounds. But the crazy part about this is it shows me how much lean mass I have. 82.8% of my body is lean mass. And that's something that I didn't think about. Like the differences between 13.4 to 82.8. That's what I think they should have led with. Like if they would have led with, Jimmy, you have 82.8% lean mass on you, I would have not believed them. I would have been like, oh, yeah, sure. And again, we already know this. Lean mass is the organs and the muscle and the fluid that's in my body, except body fat and bone mass. They're not taking those two things into factor. So next we're going to click on my body fat distribution, and you can click the 3 ones here. We already knew this from before. My stomach region is 10.2% body fat, which the android fat is 1 pound of fat. And my android lean mass is 8.6. And I guess that just means that in my trunk area, I have about 1 pound of fat, which is also crazy to think about in that sense because it's all distributed. And that just means that like when you lose the weight, you really are losing it in all different areas. And just knowing that there's only a small amount in my stomach is crazy to think about. Then another thing I didn't know they were getting into was the visceral. So the visceral is also like the lowest level of your abs, and maybe I was confused when she said that. Maybe she meant like the core of like where your abs are, but that's the 0.6.4 pounds. Maybe I did mess that up actually. So the visceral is the lowest amount of core ab you could have. Because I thought she said back when I was there, so that's why I'm a little confused. Scratch that. 0.64 pounds of this lean underlying mass in my stomach is crazy to think about. Next, we have my hips. My hips are 13.0%. We already knew that. We don't really have to go into all that. But the fat intake is the 10.2%. We have the hip as 13.0, and the ratio is 0.77. Now, it's also saying here for ideal fat distribution, the A/G ratio should be less than 0.8 for women and equal to 1 for men. So it says ratio greater than 1 tells you that you store more fat around your waist than in your hips. This would also mean that you're more risk of having visceral fat around the organs. If your A/G ratio is less than 1, you store more fat around the hip region. So I actually hold more fat in my hips than I do my sides and my love handles. So that has to be loose skin then, because this is definitely bigger than my hips. That's crazy to think about. And then I'm not going to get into all this because I could be here all day, but we already know the fat versus the lean in my arms and my waist and my legs. Actually, I'll do my waist really fast. I'll just do my waist real fast. So my waist, I have 1 pound of fat in my waist, and it's lean 8.6 pounds. And in my hips, I have 2.8 pounds and 18.0 lean in those areas. Bone density. My bone mineral density is 1.174 grams per centimeter squared. I have no idea what that means. So the Z score of 0.2 means that I'm like right around here. So like I'm average. I'm a little bit higher than mid. I'm closer to high bone density than low bone density. So all those years of people being like, well, Jimmy, you're big boned is actually kind of ironic because I am. Or maybe I've just built it up building my athleticism as I've went. This I wasn't surprised with, and I'm not too upset about it. But your bone mineral density is approximately in the 38th percentile. This means that about 38% of men in your age and ethnic group have a lower bone density. So I have a bigger bone density than 38% of males. Not really in my age group and everything. Not really offended by that. I mean, bone is important, but it's not like the biggest thing for me right now. So then the biggest thing also was it telling me my BMI. Your body mass index, or BMI, is a ratio based on height and weight used to approximate your level of body fat. This formula has been used since the early 19th century. It is used standard weight, etc., blah, blah, blah. And my BMI is 23.6. So basically in the BMI chart, it's saying that I am normal weight. I am between 18.5 and 25. So at probably 10% body fat, I'd be closer to that 18 number. And that also has to take into how healthy you are with your muscle versus your fat intake. This means I'm also this guy now, which I'm super happy about. And then my body image, James, here's a snapshot of your progress. I don't have a second scan yet. I'm hopefully going to get one every year now. But I am 13.4% body fat, and I'm in the 3rd percentile. And that's basically it. I hope that helped you guys like it helped me. No one was really around. I probably could have asked for help, and I probably could have looked up more information before I went, or even like when I was younger, I should have looked up more DEXA scan things. But going through this process and like getting it done really helped me now knowing where to go on my weight loss journey. It's not just a journey of like, hey, I need to lose as much weight as possible. It's also being as healthy as possible and being as fit and athletic as possible, for me at least. But everybody wants to be healthy. Everybody should be healthy. There should not be a question of where your health should be. Your health should be in a good spot. You should get tested. You should feel good. You should do the things that you want to do and be happy while you're doing them. So I'm actually going to end the video here. I hope I answered all your questions. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything you want me to talk about more, please feel free. I love this stuff. I love fitness. But as always, my name is James Joseph Edward Jessberger Jr., but please call me Jimmy for short, and I'll always see you guys in the next one. Peace.